Hello, this is Ryan with Nutanix. I decided I was going to give a quick overview of how to do cross-hypervisor replication using a VMware ESXi 6.5 server and Acropolis hypervisor. So as you can see here, here is my vCenter. I've got my Nutanix arrays in here, a couple diagnostic volumes which I just haven't cleaned up, Prism Central which is actually running. I have an Ubuntu server which is going to be what we're going to be moving back and forth today. So this is standard VMware, it's running, and I have Prism Central up and running. So here is my dashboard. I've got both POCs up and running, connected. All the errors are cleared off of 38, 24. I've got an issue with a time server for whatever reason. So latency, IOPS, CPU, memory, these are all covered. And we're good to go there. So basically what I have is a ESXi server here, over here, running 650, and I've got a virtual machine called Ubuntu that is currently running and powered on, and I've got a protection domain right here called Ryan Protection Domain. And if I look at the entities that sit in it, this is my Ubuntu server. It's sitting out here hanging out. I've got a schedule that's going to go every hour right now, every 60 minutes. And then I've got my replications. So it's remote replication and local. So I'm basically going backwards and forwards. What I wanted to show you is actually how to set this up. So the first thing is the remote site. You've got to basically set up some parameters for it, and just to keep everything sane, my remote site is POC 038, 038 here, so I've kept the machine names intact, so I can figure out where everything's going. If I look at the configuration, I point it to the remote server. So again, here's my remote at 3837, and that's the number I'm going to put in here. I'm going to set up for DR. I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to make compression on the wire active, and I think by default it does this already. I've got my networks, so this is going to be the base network for my VMs that's floating around, and then I have the back end one. I can also add multiple in case one of these fails. And then I've got my containers, and just for ease of use, I've decided I'm going to use the default containers for each of these, and let those run. So basically you save this, and then on the remote site you go to the same thing, and just to show you there's no tricks up the sleeve, I am running HV, and if I go to VMs and table, I don't have anything running here except for just a test machine. And then go over to data protection, table, and again I've got this Ryan PD, and I'm going to go in here to the remote site, and basically the same settings that I have for the remote site are here also. And this is important because one of the challenges I ran into was I was replicating from one container to another, and then replicating back to a different container, and the VM was actually getting lost. And so when you select the VM to be replicated, it doesn't assume that the container is automatically found. You have to manually enter that, and that was a lot of the problem I was having. So again, here is my address, and this address and this name is going to match this address up here, 24.37. And then back to the settings. Again, compress on the wire. I'm going to use the same networks that I used in the previous one. These are actually synchronized, and then the containers, and I should be good to go. So, so now when I do the async DR, I've got my protection domain here, and let's see what's actually, there's nothing running on this one. It's actually starting on ESX right now, so it's running on 24, and I know that because if I go to table, the volume is actually here, and if I go back to data protection, table, and I look at my async DR, I'm going to actually define what machines I want to replicate. So in this case, I've got my Ryan Ubuntu, got a couple other machines here I'm not going to touch for this. I've got a schedule, and the schedule is going to go every 60 minutes and do all this kind of stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick it off so that it goes at 2:47. Maybe I can catch this. So it's going to be 2:47 p.m. and we'll save that. And what I'll be able to see when 2:47 clicks around, and maybe I hit it, maybe I didn't. I should see a replication happening up here. There it goes. So this is my replica. I've got some data that's moving. I've got one that's ongoing. I don't have any pending. This is, if I don't have enough bandwidth or I'm scheduled. I've got some stack schedules. So this is going to go, and basically what we're looking for down here is for this 208 to turn into a 247. And I haven't done a whole lot of changes, so this should go over pretty quickly. Okay, so that's done, and this should update pretty soon. Or maybe we need to do a refresh, whatever it might be. Let's see what happens. Okay, so 247. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my POC 38, and I'm going to look at my replications. Nothing's going out, and basically what I'm going to look at is for my local snapshots and my remote snapshots. So here was the one that just came in at 247. This is coming in from a remote retrieval area, from a remote node. So that's how it works, right? And it's not very difficult. So let's demonstrate cross hypervisor. So now, again, I don't have any VMs running here. I'm going to go to my ESXi, and I know this is running because here's my Ubuntu server. And I'm going to go over here, and I am going to migrate this, and it'll ask me where do I want to migrate this to, and it's going to be 038, right? So I'm going from my primary to my secondary site. Go here. Just word of mouth, just an update. I do have the NGT tools loaded, and I do have the VMware tools loaded, but you really don't need them in this case. So here I'm going to do a migrate. So I'm going to migrate from VMware to HV. And what it's going to do is give me a bunch of pending messages. Here we go. And I can go to view all tasks, and it's actually telling me all the subtasks that are going on. So all the stuff you have to do manually are actually going to be done in this line item here. And it has succeeded. Everything's green. And if I go back to my VMs here and go to table, it's gone. And if I go back to vSphere, it's now orphaned. Okay. So not quite sure what I need to do here, but let's just say that it's going to sit there waiting for it to be recovered back to. And now on my remote machine, here it is, my Ryan Ubuntu. All I need to do is wait for this loading to finish. I'm going to power it on. And then I can launch a console. And there's my Ubuntu server, the purple that you, there you go. So that's good. And everything's green here. And if I want to send it back the other direction, I can do a migrate, and I'll say, where do I want to, I want to go back to data protection. Table, here's my VM, and I'll go to migrate, and I'll send it back the other direction, and it will come back up under the vSphere client as not orphaned, I guess loved. Anyway, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, give me a call.